Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm actually going to be fulfilling some requests of going through the maps along the Kern River and Lake Isabella. So if you've been watching some of my fish reports, you know that I'm throwing out names and things, and now I'm finally going to show you where those are on a map. So let's just go ahead and we're going to take a look. So to do this today, we're going to be using my OnX Hunt app. This isn't sponsored by OnX, although OnX, if you're watching this, I would love for you to sponsor my channel. But if you guys want to support the channel, I'll put my link down below, and you can purchase your own OnX, and then I will get a little bit of return on that. I think it actually just goes to a new free membership, but I pay for the elite version every year. What I really like about OnX is I think that the satellite pictures are updated a lot quicker than, let's say, Google. Also, if you see here on my screen, you can look and see all of the private property. It shows me BLM maps, it shows me active fire, and all those different things that are going on. I can put wind overlays on it, weather overlays, all kinds of different stuff. So we're just going to get started. We're going to work our way from Bakersfield. We're going to go up the lower Kern River. We'll go around Lake Isabella and then up the upper Kern River. So to get started here, this is Rancheria Road. Rancheria Road is where I first recommend stopping in Bakersfield as you head on up to, up through the canyon. This tree right here, actually where I have this, there is probably a $20 lure that's stuck in there that I lost there. So feel free, go down there, find it. It's dangling in there like a Christmas tree. So a lot of the guides, what they'll do is they float this part of the river, and so you can float this down. There are a few different takeouts along the way, but you can float all the way down here past Lake Ming if you want. You can get out on the backside, the bike trails right there. So here's Lake Ming, right? Kern River Golf Course, all those things. So yeah, this is just a really good spot to fish. When the flows get high, I recommend everybody, you can just come down here. You can hang out. There's good parking. You've got this little parking structure right here, or parking area. So you can come in here and park and then, follow the trails down. It does turn into private property along this area. So yeah, just keep that in mind. There's a fence that you can follow, but then that stops, shortly. So yeah, like I said, keep that in mind. So this is Rancheria, good place to fish, nice spotted, spotted bass, bluegill, and different things like that. I've never caught a largemouth down there. Not to say that they're not there. I'm sure there's plenty of largemouth. I know a lot of people catch carp and things down there too. So it's just a really good area. So I'm going to zoom out here because we are heading up towards the canyon. So all of this after that is private property, and it's really hard to fish. So now here we are, we're coming up to the canyon. This is the Kern Canyon. You can see here where private property ends and then like the forest starts. So that's right about here. This is that first powerhouse that's right here. If you drive this, it gets really narrow as you go along this right here. And the fishing, I've never fished it down in this area. It's probably pretty decent. It fluctuates quite a bit. So I usually go right up here. So as we're moving up the Kern River, there's a lot of turnouts right here that are really easy to get to. I'm just going to head up here now to this picnic area. So Live Oak is actually my first area that I like to fish. I like to come down in here and probably right around this corner. This gets really deep right in here. It's really nice fishing, but right around this corner, it's all nice and shaded. There's some turnouts that you can pull into and kind of make your way back down in there. And this is where I take my kids. We go down in here with some redworms and a bobber, and just go down, eat some lunch, and toss those out there, and we're always catching fish. So it's a really good area. Lower Rich Bar is a good place. They used to stock it quite a bit. They quit stocking it here, I don't know, probably 5-6 years ago. They stocked it again this year more times than I've seen it stocked in a while. So this is Lower Rich Bar and Upper Rich Bar. I actually like to go from the campground here. I like to park right here. There's a gate out here. You can walk past that gate. And then there's some really good areas back up in here to fish. I catch a lot of holdover trout in these areas, and there's also a lot of bass and things like that. But you can see usually when I tell people when we're, everybody's asking me where to go in the canyon, I always tell them find a good turnout that you can get out of safely, plenty of room and everything. But that's steep, that's hard to get down to the river. And so that's usually where I go because those areas aren't fished very heavily. And you're also not going to run into the swimmers and all that different stuff that you're going to get here pretty soon, right? We're getting into the 100-degree weather mark, upper mid 90s. And so that's going to really play a factor into that. So you can see what I'm talking about when I say like a large turnout. This is a very large turnout, but you can see it's not very steep going down there. And so you're going to get a lot of people that would like park here, carry ice chests, beer bottles and all those different things that you're going to find. It's just going to usually gets trashed in the middle of summer. So if that's you, go out there, pick your stuff up and take it back with you, right? I'm tired of carrying it back when I'm trying to go out and have a good time. So anyway, as we move on up to the Kern River, let's go up, right? So this is, right, these are our last real campgrounds here. And so as we move up, we're going to get into the next section that I like to fish. And that's usually where I can find all of these boat launch areas. So this is Democrat. In the past, I would park here and I would hike down, in these areas. There's some good fishing here. I've been ran off a couple times by, the power company that runs this area. But there's some really good fishing in here that's hard to get to. And so you can really get in there when the pressures are high other places and still catch some fish. The water right through Democrat gets really slow. But this is usually where I'm targeting like catfish or carp. A lot of times what happens is we can't always fish our ideal spots because we're with our family or we're hanging out with friends or whatever. But I always carry a fishing rod. So I'm going to fish wherever I'm at, but it's not the ideal location, and it does get quite a bit of traffic down through there. The same thing as we move on up here. These areas, this is actually China Garden, right? So if you follow China Garden down, again, you're going to have this entire area of nice slow-moving water. It's really good in the late summertime. There's usually fish down in there, but again, you're targeting, catfish and carp. The bass, if you're going for like smallmouth bass, they're typically over here on this side. And so they like to be in the run of the water. So keep that in mind when you're going after them. I've had some really good luck parking right here in these areas, right? In these areas here and hiking down. It's really tough hiking. And if you're there in the summertime, there's rattlesnakes. The springtime is the worst for the rattlesnakes. That's why sometimes I'm out there and it's hot. I've got waders on. It's because I've had rattlesnakes strike at me, and I feel like the waders would do a decent job of blocking that. Probably not. I'd probably be in the hospital and patching some waders. So who knows? But keep an eye out when you're down through there. All right, so this is another spot here. This is a big turnout. Sorry, I keep clicking. But this is a big turnout. I used to fish this quite a bit, but now a lot of kayakers and things are coming in here, and so it's getting pretty hard to fish. But I used to come down and I would park right here. And so this is just a big turnout. This loops around, actually. It loops around up underneath, and then you come out to go to the other side. And so it's a really good place, but you can see just in this picture here alone, there's just so much. You get tons of people here along the river. And so what I do is I come over here and I hike up the river this way. The only time I've ever ran into ticks on the Kern River has been on this little trail and hiking up the river in this area. So keep that in mind. Also, right across the way over here on this Kern River Trail, right up through here, that's the only time I've ever ran into a mountain lion on the Kern River. So keep that in mind. But here's the DeLonga River access site. So here's Hot Springs. This is all private. But there are trails, right? And so these trails are over on the other side, and you can see to get to those trails, Okay, here's our Kern Canyon Road. This is the old road that used to take us up through the Kern Canyon. But there's really good fishing down here along it. So if you follow it down, right? If you follow it down right here, there's a pump house right here. You can come up through here and you can drive this entire thing. A lot of people fish Sandy Flat. They camp here. Hobo Campground is usually pretty good. So these are the areas that I'm always talking about, right? You've got your hot springs that used to be here. You know, disgusting. They're gross. I don't recommend getting in them, but right, you do you. But yeah, so here's Hobo Campground. Again, slow moving water, easily accessible. So there's going to be a lot of people there, and the fishing is going to be heavy. All right, now if you do make your way over here, these gates are usually locked, but you can walk down through here and get to all of these areas here too. All right, now Remington Hot Springs right here in this area has some really good fishing. I haven't been there in a while. Tons of poison oak, but you know, there's some good places to hit, and that's how you get on the other side of the river. Now, that's usually what I recommend. Like if you're out there, like I said, if you're camping and you're just trying to find a place to throw, get a line in the water, those are good places to go to. This area here, you see I have a little fish marker here. I've actually hidden some of my fish markers so you don't see all of my spots, right? We all have to have our secrets. But this is right here up underneath this bridge. This fishing under this bridge is pretty good, but you have to park up here and then you have to hike back down over here. You used to be able to park along the freeway right here, but you know, they stopped allowing that, and now you will get a ticket. And so I don't recommend that. There are other places here, right? Black Gulch. If you can get Black Gulch, there's a gate. And Black Gulch has some great fishing. It also has some great dispersed camping back up in here. There's a few areas you can actually, in the late summertime, cross. I had to leave a truck up in here, actually. This is a while back now, but I had a truck that I left back up in here. Right, I was at Bradley Creek. Right, sorry, this is a tangent, but I was way up in here, and I had to hike out because I, busted up some tie rod ends and some idler arms and a whole bunch of other stuff. So, anyway, getting back to where we are, that's about the extent of the Kern Canyon. As you start to come out of here, you get into some private waters. There are some ramp launching areas that are pretty good, but everything goes back up through Keysville. But right now I'm going to head up and we're going to go up around Lake Isabella, because a lot of people have had questions about Lake Isabella. So this is Lake Isabella. It's a very large lake. It's over 500,000 acre feet. You can see here, this is a picture, right? This is when the lake was full, and then this picture over here on the other side, this is when the lake was not full. So just coming in here, just looking, this right here, right? So we have our auxiliary dam site. This has all been rebuilt. This used to be really good fishing, and ever since they did all the construction, I don't know, they tore up a lot of the lake bottom here while they were fixing it, and it's just not as good anymore. But this is the dam over here, so I'll make my way. We'll go up and then we'll go around. We'll go up towards Kernville, and then we'll go around. So this is the dam right here. Dam's really good fishing. All along here, you can park in this little turnout and you can walk down here. Sometimes you can drive down through here. It depends on how much water. It depends on how much water is in the lake. So you can come down through here. This is, I don't know, it's kind of one of my go-tos. This is French Gulch over here. This is the actual French Gulch. It goes all the way back up underneath this freeway. And so here's the marina. But again, you can drive down through all these areas right through here, and there's just good fishing around this area. I think it's the deepest part of the lake. If you're trolling for trout, you can troll pretty much all the way through here up towards Engineer Point. Remember that, right? The lake fills up and this whole area almost covers up entirely. And so remember, like if you're coming across right here, a lot of times you're maybe 10 feet deep. You're maybe 5 feet deep. So just keep that in mind. It can get kind of dangerous. But yeah, so French Gulch coming all the way up here. Here's Boulder Gulch, Hungry Gulch, all these areas. These are all good fishing. So this spot right here, right? I'm gonna actually give you away one of my secrets. This area right here is one of the best catfishing spots that I have found in the middle of the day. Like if I'm gonna go and I'm just going for an afternoon and I want to go fish, I'm gonna come right down in here in the middle of summertime, right? When it's 110 degrees and it's just blazing bullets out there. I'm gonna set up and I'm gonna fish this area. It's a nice little deep bowl. I think what happens is the fish, they come in here, right? And there's also the old canal that runs right down here along it. And so this area right in here is just, I don't know, it's just really good fishing. I haven't caught anything like massive, but 2-3 pound cats. Catch, you know, a dozen of them in an afternoon. So I really like this area. It also doesn't get busy in the summertime because it is hot. There's no shade, there's no anything. But if there's one thing I've learned about fishing is if you want to get away from the people, you have to go when you're miserable. So again, like I said, far away from the roads, steep banks, you know, hard to get to, or just hot and not fun. So seek out those locations. If you want to be comfortable, you'll catch less fish. You'll have more people around you, but at least you'll be comfortable. So yeah, anyway, going back to the lake. So this is, again, Boulder Gulch, Hungry Gulch. As I'm talking about, like, you know, I talk about Tilly Creek every once in a while, but I don't really fish this area too much. This area does get shallower, and you can target like carp and things, carp on the fly if you want, or if you just want to go up and do some carp fishing. It's pretty good. But this is the cemetery location. This is where I'm always talking about with the cemetery. So once you get through Wolford Heights, you go right around this curve, right, and then you leave the town. The speed limit goes back up to 55 or whatever it is. And you can come up, and here's a cemetery. And so you can park. I usually park right in here, and you can see where all the trails are, right? You can usually park if you want to walk down, or you can drive down through here, and then you can come back down along the road. This gets really sandy, and I've pulled a lot of people out. They get stuck. They get down in these areas. But this is usually where I'm going, you know, when I'm targeting trout or, you know, bass that make their way up in there. It's just a good spot. It is a little bit harder to get to, so there's less people, but you do get a lot more people coming in there too. So I keep clicking. Now we're just going to come across the lake, and then we're just going to make our way back around. So if you come across the lake, right now the only way to get to this side of the lake is to come up here through Kernville, and then you have to turn on Sierra Way, and then you can come back around past the airport, all the way back over here. And this, I know this says East Side Campground, but this is Camp 9. If you notice, just look at the difference in contours here. So the river actually flows through here, and you get some nice deep channels. This right now too, by the way, this is all covered with water. The whole lake right now is pretty full. But you can see like these big deep channels that you get. So right here, you see this? Okay, this is where you drive. It opens up here. All the roads come parallel with the lake. So look at the difference here, right? Look how deep this is, and then it just gets shallow. Deep and shallow. So I like to come like right here because, I don't know, catfish are like ambush predators, bass are ambush predators, all these different things. And so you can come here and you can fish these areas, and you're going to get a lot of those fish that are just kind of hanging out on the ledges, and they're just waiting for something to come by. But I do really well in this area. Catfish are really good. And you get this the whole length of this shoreline here. Like I said, right now it's all the water is like up to here. But you can see that even though the water is up to here, it's so much shallower right here. But you get a lot of carp in this area. You get a lot of everything. So it's really good. You can camp there. You can take your family there. You can swim there. It's just a nice place to hang out. So if you could, I would say drive all the way back up around Sierra Way. If you're in a boat, this area right here is good for trolling. You pick up all kinds of bass, just this, right, from this point all the way up to Stein Point. And so you can see what happens is look at the contours, right? You can see where the river actually flows and where it gets deeper. And so there's a lot of these areas that you're fishing and you're just coming up and over cover, and there's a lot of fish there. But again, Sierra Way is washed out over in this area, and so you can't really get there. But if you're in a boat, Hanging Flat is really good. So it says Hanging Flat on the road, but this is what this looks like on the actual lake. So now we're, around these points, and we're in this flat area, and so this is Hanging Flat. Sierra Way normally comes around. It still does come around to some extent. Like I said, it just got washed out, and they haven't repaired it yet. So coming back over here, the lake. Sometimes you can come all the way down here. This is Lime Dyke. This is an area that people talk about quite a bit. But all of these areas are really good for fishing for crappie, fishing for bluegill, bass. There's a lot of really good areas right in here. If you can, right, and we come all the way back up and around. When I'm targeting carp, this area is usually flooded. You can see it's just a bunch of trees, just tons of trees. And so you can walk down through here, and it's like a little swampland. And if you come out, so you can see where we're at. Okay, if you come out right here, right, so you come through here. This is South Lake, so you come through South Lake. Here's Patterson Drive. You turn on Patterson Drive, and then you can drive down through here. And this is just a really good area to fish. This whole thing, right? This is where we have like our crappie cages and all these different things that we have in these areas that you can go watch some videos on those. They'll show you where all those are. But you can come down through here and just really good crappie fishing. Right down here, this tree line, really good crappie fishing. If you can float out here, right now the water's up to here. Okay, but if you can float out here, and if you can get like up in here in these little pockets, or this old little, right, you see the river right here where there's no trees. If you can get in there, there's tons of crappie, tons of structure, just really good fishing. So here's Lime Point. This is really big right here, and just like it's almost, you can't really tell. It's almost like a sheer wall coming straight down. But this is all covered too, and this is going to take us into Kissack Bay. So you can see where we're at here, right? So this is Lime Point, and so this whole area here is Kissack Bay. And so we come over here to the cove. Oops, went the wrong way. We come over here to the cove, and right now the water is up to about right here. This is where the water's at. So we're at the end of May, and the water's up to about right here. But fishing is usually good. What I find that happens in this area is you get all these tall grasses and all this grass that is growing there, and when it gets flooded, it gets pretty hard to fish. It's really hard to fish when it's windy. But if you had like a float tube or a kayak or a boat, you could come back up in here and you could just destroy the fish. There's tons of carp. You'll go out there, you'll see all the carp jumping. And so if you can get into these areas, if I'm fishing from the shore, I like to come in right here, right? So you can come in right here. It's right around this big point. You come around this curve, and then it's your first turnout right here. You can follow this down, and I like to come down here to the boat launch. You see these boat launches here. They're underwater right now. They're, like I said, they're about like right here. Like this is where it's at. You can drive like on this road over here. But I like to fish right here, right in this area. This area, you can see it gets kind of rocky. If you can get out to this point, it just drops straight off and you get all kinds of cover, and the fishing gets really good. But again, there's some private property here that you're going to have to deal with. So keep that in mind. As we come back around, this is Paradise Cove. I believe there used to be a marina here. There used to be like a boat launch or a boat marina right here in this area, but this area gets tons of pressure. People just come. You can drive all the way down to the water. Right now, the water, like I said, it's about up to here. But this is Paradise Cove. So when I'm talking about Paradise Cove in my fishing reports, this is what I'm talking about. It's big, deep water. You go out there, you cast, and I usually just throw some bait out there and just hang out and wait. That's what all these guys are doing. They're just tossing it out there and they're just waiting. If you notice, there's no major boats on the water in that area, and it's because there are better places to target if you're offshore in a boat. Now, if I was trolling, I would troll this whole area and I'd come, right along the edge there. If it was cold, and if it was wintertime and they were stocking the lake with trout, I would come out here with some power bait, and that's where I would be fishing because it's nice, it's deep. It gets shallow, it eases up, and the fish can move up into the shallows. They can move down. They can regulate their body temperatures a little better, and there's a lot of bait fish and different things for them to chase. So this is Paradise Cove, and this is a really good area too. South Fork, right? So this is what I'm always talking about. This is the South Fork campground. Again, look at all the people here that are on the water. Okay, it gets tons and tons of people that come in here. 4th of July, they got all their boats stocked up. These are the areas that I avoid, but in the off season, these are still pretty good areas to fish. Now, if I am fishing, I like to come right over here and I like to park right here, right? So there's a turnout. Where is it? Right here. Okay, so you can come in here. You can see you've got some turnouts here that you can park in, right? There's a little fence here that you can park in. There's a good turnout here. This is where I ran into the bear, right? So if you follow me on Instagram, I was out here doing some night fishing. Maybe you caught the live video that I was doing out here. And I was fishing. So I was fishing right here, leaned up against these rocks. So this is where I was fishing. I was right here in this area, and I was fishing this little cove. I was leaned up against this rock right here when a mouse ran down in my jacket. It was just a rough night. But that bear that I took a picture of was like right here. And so he was pulling some stuff off these rocks and, just munching on some dead fish or something. So that was pretty crazy. I've never ran into a bear at Lake Isabella. I actually didn't even know there were bears right there at the lake. I mean, it makes sense. People have bears go through their trash and things in town. So it makes sense that there are bears at the lake. So anyway, that's where I ran into a bear. It's a really good place to fish, this little cove. One of my favorite places. I've been fishing there over 20 years, I guess. And just a really good place to go to. But this whole area used to be really good, but look at this. Like, this is crazy. This is a crazy picture, right? This had to have been like a 4th of July weekend or something. But could you imagine, like, you're just out there trying to cast and just have a good time, and you just look at all these people, all this junk they're going to leave on the ground everywhere, right? It's just kind of ridiculous. But anyway, so that's a tour around the lake. That's what I'm talking about. So I'm going to zoom out really quick just so you can see how this works out. Okay, so this area here, this is the North Fork of the Kern River. The North Fork of the Kern River, this is the South Fork of the Kern River. This flows down through like Kennedy Meadows and all that other stuff. And then this is flowing, this is the Upper Kern that I'm always talking about. So we're going to head to the Upper Kern River now. And I'm going to show you some of my places that I like to fish along the Upper Kern River. So, all right, so coming down here now, this is Kernville. So this is the Riverside Park here in Kernville. This is the bridge. I usually park somewhere down in here, and we'll come here and fish all these areas with my kids. This whole area has changed though, because like last year we hit 50,000 cubic feet per second and everything got washed out. So all of my old little pockets and things where I always knew there were fish, where everybody was fishing in a different spot and I could always just come in and catch a couple, they're all gone now. So I have to find some new ones. But they're still there. I used to like to come and I would fish right down here in this area. See, this had to have been like a 4th of July weekend. Look at all these cars. This is ridiculous. This is all the people coming in through here, right? So, anyway, good spot to fish. Good place to take your kids. Good food across the street. There's a lot of different places that you can go to. If you're coming across, the fly shop is actually right here. We have McNally's Outpost here, okay, and so you can come in here and get all your fly fishing needs, grab a bite to eat, and it's just a a really nice place to visit. The trout truck, if you're ever wondering where the trout truck goes, the trout truck comes right here and he backs right down in here on the water. And this is where he dumps all these fish to go in here. And so some fish go up, some fish go down. So I recommend, I'm not going to show you all the different ways to get in here, but I recommend trying to find ways to get down to the water back up on this other side. But there's some really good fishing. This is a cool place to stay. This is a hot place to stay, still fun. A little campground here. But yeah, we're going to come up now. This is where you would run into, there's a sign right here, and this sign will tell you what campgrounds are open and all that different stuff. And so you can come in here and, head up this way. So now that is the direction we are going. All right, so as we move up into all the private campgrounds, this is River Nook Campground. We're going to come up Sierra Way. Once you leave the town of Kernville, you come back over here. I've never heard of Gilbert Campground, but that's interesting. This is the fish hatchery, right? So you got the fish hatchery, and you got another, power distribution, area. This is a private road. You can't drive this road. It looks like you can, but you can't. You'll get ran off if you drive down on that road and try to fish from it. So yeah, again, here's your, your powerhouse. You can see the pipelines that come down. This actually comes down from Fairview area, and so the Fairview water gets diverted up there and it comes down here to generate some electricity. So in these areas, if you can get over onto the back side, the Kernville side over there, you can follow some of these roads up. It'll take you like up here. It'll take you up here to like Whiskey Flat. This is a really cool mountain biking trail. You can take this all the way up, right? And there's tons of places to go down from the Whiskey Flat Trail and do some fishing. So once we go here, this is the River Kern. So once we go through the little town of River Kern, I don't usually fish right here. This is a beach site. There's a ton of people that are always there. It doesn't matter what the time of the year is. So I always go up through River Kern, and I come right up here. Now, in the past, I have seen trout trucks stocking in this area, so you might give that a try. You might try that out. But yeah, I usually go up through River Kern, and here's Headquarters Campground. Now, Headquarters Campground, it used to be the old, Forest Service headquarters, and so that's kind of how it got its name. But it's a good place to camp. It's close to town, gets a lot of people. The fishing, sometimes it's good. If you can get there right after they stock, the fishing is good. Other times, it's usually blown out. But these areas between the campgrounds, and this is what I'm always talking about. So here's like your campground down here. Here's an area between the campground. This is where your fishing is going to be good. So your fishing is good here, right? You can go all the way up here. Is a halfway campground. Camp 3. This has been closed for a while. But the fishing gets good in between campgrounds. And it's because most people that are in campgrounds, they fish in the campgrounds. You can come up here. Fishing is okay, right, in these areas. But this is Thunderbird, right? But again, look at the nice gap that you have between here and Chico Flat. Okay, so good areas of fishing right here. You can see as we move on up, Hospital Flat, all these areas, good fishing right here. Look how steep this area is. It's hard to get to, but if you were on that Whiskey Flat Trail, you'd be right there on the water. So keep that in mind. But like I said, most of the places that I'm fishing, especially in the summertime when I'm getting away from people or I'm facing competition, there's a ton of people out there fishing too. The more that you have in your back pocket, the more tools that you have in your toolbox, the better off that you're going to be, the more successful you're going to be. So you can see here the gap between my pinpoints, right? So like I usually don't start fishing up until about this area. And this is our Spring Hill area. You've got these whole new tent cabins and all this different stuff that has been made here. It's a cool spot. I don't usually fish this area just because there's a lot of people. But Spring Hill area, I fish quite a bit. And so I really like Spring Hill because there's plenty of places to park. And then almost immediately when you start walking, it's like inaccessible from the road. So you almost have to start walking here. And, there's just good fishing along all these little spots here. And so it's just a nice little stretch of river to hit. And I I don't see too many people. Every once in a while, I'll run into some fly fishermen or something that are like fishing in these areas. But the area before that, it's usually pretty good. Um, there are lots of places you can see people are parked here. You can climb down. You can get into these areas. You can get out. I usually fish upstream and then I hike out and walk back to my truck. So this area right in here, actually, so parked right here. This area right in here is actually one of the places that I've floated in the Kern River with my waders on, and I thought I was going to die. But I didn't die. I'm still here making videos. So yeah, make sure you have a good wading belt on. Make sure you're paying attention. And yeah, if all else fails, ditch your waders as you're trying to get out. So yeah, by the time I got out, those waders probably weighed 300 pounds. So as we come up, right, so this took us through those campgrounds here. And you can see all these campgrounds. If you want to walk through, you can see these campgrounds right up here. I have a video where I've taken you through all these different places. But this is Gold Ledge. Gold Ledge is a good little area. Ant Canyon is really good. So just a bunch of good areas. And like I said, just find your turnouts, right? Like this is what I do, by the way, when I'm just looking at maps and I'm trying to find a place to fish. Like I saw this place from the satellite view, and I'm like, oh, let's zoom in. Okay, yeah, this looks like a place I could park. And so I'll drop a pin. I'll be like, oh, let's drop a pin here, add waypoint or whatever, and just leave it at that, save it, and then I will come to that area and I will fish it. And if it's good, I will change the pin type. If it's good fishing, I'll change it to a fish. If there's good water access, I put a little water droplet on there. And so I'm just going to keep that in mind. But this area right in here, anytime there are falls or water running, this whole area, probably has some good fishing. This area back here. So a lot of pocket water on the Kern River. So as we go up, right, you can see where everybody else fishes. They're all right here. That's where everybody fishes Ant Canyon. But you get into these areas, like I said, there's nobody along the river after this spot. It's just, just lots of good, tough trekking areas. So go past the cars. Some people look for cars because they're like, oh, that must be a good place to fish. I avoid the cars. If I see cars, I keep going. And so then I'm like, okay, this area right here would be a good place to fish. I've actually taken my daughter here quite a few times, and she's done pretty well catching fish right here in this area. If you're looking at it on land, it's right past Ant Canyon, and there's these big rocks right across the way that you can look at. And so as we move on up here, we get into some of these other areas that are a little bit better, right? This is Chamis Flat. This is actually, as we get up here, the water gets a lot cooler. So you can see, again, this must have been some sort of holiday weekend. So everybody's up here chasing cold water, but look at that. That's crazy. So all the fish right here that would be in here, they're all going to be wiped out. There's not going to be any fish left. Everybody's going to catch every single fish in that section. And yeah, so the weekend after this, you wouldn't want, even though there's no people here, you still wouldn't want to go fish it. But we can look up here, right? Fairview Campground. I actually like Fairview Campground, but I like this area up here. I don't like the actual campground itself. I like this area up here, but when we come in here, right? There's a place right here. This is McNally's. And oh man, those burgers are just absolutely delicious. It's finally open again. And like sometimes I just go up there scouting the river just to eat a burger. Like I won't even put a line in the water. I'm just up there to eat. But man, this place is good. There's a bridge back here that can, this is where the Whiskey Flat Trail ends. There's a bridge back here that you can cross and you can walk back this way. You can't see it from the road, but there's some good fishing back over here on the backside. One of the largest browns that I've ever seen pulled out of the river came from that area. Yeah, but you can check that out. So you can come up here. This is a road's end. This is a good little place to hang out. You can see there's people here. It's a good little place to hang out. But this section down below it has some pretty good fishing. So yeah, and then after that, from this area up, okay, we're gonna get the Fairview Dam. So here's the dam. There's good fishing right through here. The water's a little bit slower. You can come out here if you're throwing lures and things. You can throw some lures, and the fishing gets pretty decent in that area. After this, it's totally up to you. You find a place to fish it. This changes quite a bit. This section right here is pretty cool. I saw mountain lions swimming across this little swimming hole right here one day, you know, in the water. So that was pretty neat. Let me see what that looks like, right? It was right down here in this area. I don't know if it fell in or if it jumped in, but yeah. The rock starts to change in these areas, and we start getting into more of the limestone, and the river changes a little bit. I swam across the river right here in one of my videos. If you saw that, that's where I swam across because I wanted to fish. I wanted to fish this curve right here on this side, and yeah, sometimes you do what you got to do, right? But as we come up, you can see we're running out of campgrounds. This is actually like our last one. So this is Limestone and Brush Creek. There's a cool little trail right here on Brush Creek that you can get to. If you feel like four-wheeling, you can come back up over here and you can four-wheel down into Brush Creek and you can fish this whole area. It's filled with tons of little native fish. It's a really fun area to fish. And then this just takes us to the Johnsondale Bridge. So this is about where we're going to make it on this video. I feel like I've been talking for a really long time, and I'm sorry. I don't really know of another way to do this and edit this, but this is Johnsondale Bridge. So you can park here, you can come across, you can take these stairs down, and you can take this trail. It actually goes about 4 miles up. And so, come on. So you could take it. I'll hide that fishing spot. Nobody looked at that fishing spot, but you can come all the way up here. This is, by the way, this fishing spot that I have marked here. This is about the time that the fishing gets really good, and you can see it's nice and green. So the trail's not too difficult here. But this is where it comes into the Rincon Trail. And if you wanted, you do like a crazy loop. Come over here, come back over here, walk down the road back to your truck. But there's really nothing up here. So if any of this was helpful, feel free to drop a like, hit the subscribe button. If you really want to show your thanks and support this channel, you can send a super thanks, or you can become a channel member and get your monthly memberships in with a few little extra perks. So sorry this was such a long video. If you stuck with it the whole time, I appreciate it. Again, every view, every second watched on this video helps this channel out. So I will be coming out with some more, useful videos. I'm going to try to do some how-to videos on some fishing setups and things that I recommend. So make sure that you check those out. And like I said, check out all my other videos that are covering this area on ground, on ground level. You can see exactly where I'm talking about. And yeah, again, thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next video.